enjoy the journey, right? As bad as it is, and as tough as some things are in this world, stop looking at a finish line. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Juju, and welcome back to the 1% of Juju podcast, where we teach you the practical steps to live your life like the 1%. As always, do make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. Make sure you check us out on social media, all that good jazz. But we have to fire right into this one. We have no time to waste. As you can see, we're having a little bit of a different topic. If you're checking us out on YouTube, which you should, I would highly encourage you guys to check us out there. Like I said, I've been trying to grow the platform there, so appreciate everyone's support, to be honest. But I appreciate that. But if you see us there, you're able to see right now that I'm actually not sitting in my conventional setup. I'm actually sitting on the couch with this really obnoxiously big metal around my neck, and as you can see, all you see from the title that we're going to talk the fact that I completed a marathon, 26.2 miles, 42.2 kilometers, however you want to shake it. I ran that, so that is part of the reason of why I'm sitting here on the couch. Reason number two is I'm going on vacation, and there's currently stuff all over my place. So literally this is the one little spot. So this is one of my couches. This is the one little spot that I was able to find some space where it doesn't look like a complete mess. But also I really cannot move. Like, I couldn't sit in a chair normally. So we're going to talk about this. I know that this is not necessarily like a fitness channel, but fitness is a big part of who I am. I think that people that follow me on social, 1% of Juju on all platforms, follow us there. But people that follow me, especially on Instagram, probably know that fitness is a pretty big part of my life. And I just think that, so don't tune out completely if you're not here for fitness. But I just think that there's a lot of things that I learned in that process of running a marathon that are very much applicable to life. I think that are applicable to how you're going to, go about the finances, the money, and things of that nature. So I just thought that, you guys are a big part of what I do. Like, you guys are very important to me. So I really just wanted to share my journey with you guys. And there's a few things that I do want to share. And I'm so winded. It's so hard to speak. So one thing is, like, yes, my legs hurt, but also like my lungs feel just compressed. So everything that I just do normally, in regular times now is like very difficult. Actually, you're probably seeing this a couple weeks after I actually ran the marathon. So at this point, I'm not even cool anymore. But when I'm recording this, I don't even know when I'm going to release this episode, but that's beyond the point. But there are really three topics that I wanted to talk about. So number one, the decision to run the race. And I think that plus the training part. So a lot of these things, by the way, so I'll tell you guys. So number one, the decision to run the race. Number two, the day of the marathon, the actual race. And number three, the lessons that I learned from it. So it will all kind of wrap up into the lessons that I learned from it, which I think is the most important part. But stay tuned for that. Don't click out of this episode, or don't skip past, because I think that every part is actually important, and that kind of leads into that. So let's start with how this thing started. So didn't want to run it. Like, I can say that right away. Like, it was not like my decision. I didn't wake up one morning, I was like, let me run a marathon. Rob, who was actually on the podcast before, I'll try to link the episode where he was on. Super smart individual, right? And became a good friend of mine, and all these things. And he convinced me to run it. He was like, man, do it. Like, let's do it. And I was thinking, there's a couple people that we were talking to. They're thinking about doing the 10K, doing, maybe half marathons, things of that nature. And I was debating. I was like, I don't think I'll do any of those. I really don't see the fun. I'm a really heavy person. Even though I work out a lot, long distance running is just not for me, right? I've never been that necessarily. I ran cross countries when I was in high school, but it was the shortcut cross countries when I was very young. We were basically forced to do it because of track and things of that nature. But outside of that, I've never really been a runner or a long distance runner. I can do anything else basically. You want to do a hit training, weightlifting, all those things. I'm all in. Different types of workouts, but just long distance, like an hour straight of or more of running. I was just like, no, this is not for me. But now I started thinking, right? Like, because he kept pushing me, He's like, do it. You should do it. You should do it. And then I was thinking, okay, maybe I'll do the half or maybe I'll do the 10K. I was like, just to be there. And when I was thinking about doing this 10K, in my mind, I was like, I don't like running. Like, I won't enjoy whether it's 10K or it's a whole marathon. So if I'm going to run anything, run the whole thing. That way you can say you're a marathon finisher. I'm doing it once, never, and then I would never want to hear anyone talk to me about running anything ever again, right? So that was kind of my mindset going into it. So I decided to do that, and I was like, okay, we're going to do this marathon. So start training. That's the step one, right? Like I start training, and at this point, I'm heavy. I'm partially fat, partially muscle, but overall, there's just so much weight to carry around. And 10-minute runs just don't feel nice, right? Like, they're not hard, but it was just like, I don't end 10-minute runs and I'm like, oh, I had a good time or whatever. A 5K is just tough, like hard to finish without walking at some point. And I was just like, the hardest part at this point is just mentally, because you just want to quit right then and there, because you're like, there's no way. How am I going to run 42 kilometers if I'm struggling through 5, right? It makes no sense. So the mental part of this whole training became really, really difficult. So started training, but at no point did I actually believe that I was going to complete 42 kilometer, that I was actually going to run a marathon. And, a little bit of a spoiler here, I didn't actually think that I was, like, the morning of, I didn't really think that I was going to complete the marathon, to be honest. But, stay tuned to find out more about that. But all the way through, that part was really, really hard, because, mentally it's just tough, and I just didn't enjoy any part of that aspect or that part of the training, at least. So continue training, continue working out. Like, it was really hard, because the max at this point that I've ran is like 10K over the course in my life, right? And that 10K was really, really hard way back in the days. So I started setting myself like smaller goals, because I was like, I need to do what I can do. I'm just going to keep going, keep training, and we're going to get as close as possible to doing this thing. But I still don't think I'm going to finish it. So I started telling myself, go to the gym and spend an hour on the treadmill, right? Doing different things. It could be intervals, it could be walking, it could be running, right? But just spend that whole hour on the treadmill. Don't turn off the treadmill. Don't come off before you hit the hour mark. That felt okay, right? I didn't care about distances or anything. And I started, so those were my goals. I was just like, I'll do what I can do, and we're just gonna keep fighting. So I was gonna do an hour one week, an hour and a half, and 2 hours the next week, and keep on going until, right, like for however long I need to go. Now the cool part about this, or the uncool part, is like, that's not an actual marathon training. That's not how you're supposed to train for a marathon. There's actually structured ways to train for a marathon, and what days you're supposed to do what, and all these different things. And I just decided to ignore it and just do my own thing. And I do have a reason for that. It's just because I knew that if I looked at a marathon and it told me, like, in 2 weeks after run like 12 kilometers in a short run, and I'm not able to run 12 kilometers, I would just get demoralized and just want to quit. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep doing what I can every single week, and just try to get out there and try to run. And there's one week I had planned on going out and running 2 hours. That was part of the week that I was going to run 2 hours, and I ran it. And at some point, I looked down and I'm like, oh, I'm dangerously close to 10 miles, which is, a decent distance. Like that's about 16 kilometers, I want to say. Yes, right around 16 kilometers. And I was like, okay, this is kind of feeling. So I ended up right under 2 hours. Now that's not a great time for 10 miles, but I was like, okay, this is a milestone. This is something that I've never done. This is interesting. Maybe we have something here. Maybe we figured something out. So the next week I decided, well, I'm so close to the half marathon mark. Next week we're going to go out and run a half marathon. And so I ran that. I ran a half marathon right under 2.5 hours. Felt decently good. I tried to speed up sometimes, shorten some of my breaks and things of that nature. And I was like, okay, maybe, we might be able to do that. But then you kind of hit a wall because there were some weeks that I would go with a certain plan. Let's say the following week I was supposed to run 15 miles and hopped on and ran about 10K and bam, stopped. I was like, no, I can't do this. Or there's some weeks I would go out and try to run a 5K and legs just felt heavy. And once again, that's just so demoralizing mentally and just so hard. So I started, changing the strategy. I started doing a little bit of physio and massages just because my legs were feeling so dead. I was maybe overworking a little bit at that point. And she was telling me, maybe try running every other day. Give yourself some time to rest, to recover, and things of that nature because I wasn't doing enough of that. Like, okay, perfect. Tried that different strategy a little bit, but there were some really good days and then there were some bad days. So continue with that training until the max I ran. The max you're supposed to run in kilometers, about 30 to 35 kilometers. That's supposed to be the max you run heading into the race. In miles, about 18 to 20, 21 miles. 21 miles is really the top that you're supposed to run if you're a first-time marathon runner, right? So anything after that, it's completely unknown. It's like a uncharted territory. So finish that training, and like I said, I get to race day. And the week of, I felt really, really good. The weekend before, I'd ran my fastest 10K, the fastest 5K throughout the week. I'm feeling amazing. I did my rest, my recovery, ate well all week long and things of that nature. But I'm still showing up to the race with the mindset of like, there's no way I can finish this, right? Like I weighed in at I think 265 pounds the morning of, which now I'm doxing myself a little bit, but we're doing this. We're going to get transparent here. So I got there and I'm like, there's no way I can finish a marathon, right? I'd never ran that much ever in my life. But, we're going to try to do as much as we can. Let's see, where this gets us. Let's see what we can do here. And I watched a couple videos the day before on just race day do's and don'ts. And a couple things that they were talking about, just I didn't want to necessarily watch how to run a marathon, how to train for a marathon, because if they said anything different than what I did, I knew that, once again, playing in your head and playing in your mind, right? Because it's a big mind game. So I didn't do that. But one thing I saw in the do's and don'ts, there's one guy that really changed my mindset where he was saying, just enjoy the day. Actually enjoy the day. Enjoy the moment and enjoy what you're actually doing in that moment. And that really changed my perspective because I'm a competitive person. And the way I was approaching it initially was just, this is going to be 4, 5, 6 hours that really, really, are just no fun and that just basically suck. And you just fight through it until you get to the finish line. But and that's going to come back to the lessons afterwards, right? But what he said really changed my perspective on things where I was like, it is true. I'm doing this really amazing thing. Let's enjoy every minute of it, right? Let's enjoy the bad parts, the fun parts, and everything. So take off. It's time to get off. And, I told Rob, once again, we got there together, and I was like, hey, man, do your best. Have fun today. Enjoy the day. This is a really cool thing that we're doing. Let's just have fun. And we take off. The first 5 kilometers go really, really well. Then there's a really, really steep hill, and I was like, I'm gonna walk that hill because I drove the course the day before, so I knew where it was coming and everything. I walked up that, felt fine after that, and afterwards, my goal was run an hour, walk 5 minutes, run an hour, walk 5 minutes. So stuck to my plan, take off for an hour, feel really, really good. I'm like, okay, haven't felt this good for running 15 kilometers in a very long time. So, or ever in my training. So I'm like, this is really cool, and I wanted to keep going. And that's one of the hard part is like you also have to control your adrenaline that just says like keep pushing, because I knew I have a long day ahead, right? So this is the way you trained. This is what you trained for. This is what what worked for you so far. Just stick to your plan. Don't get caught up in the adrenaline trying to take off. Because anybody that was with me when I was running cross country, they would know that like I'd be that guy and I would sprint off the start line, like literally a full on sprint and be the first one there, and then just like tail off all the way to the back. But that's just the competitive spirit in me. So I just trusted my training all the way through. So through 15 felt really good. Took a little bit of a walk, then ran. Got through half, felt really good. Kilometer 25 is really when things started getting tough. So I wouldn't say was that in miles, about mile 15 maybe, right? Things started getting really, really tough. And I was thinking about these small chunks of victories, right? So get to kilometer 30, get to mile 18, right? So all things of that nature. And I got to 30, kilometer 33 to 34, I think. And one of my good friend called me, and she said, oh my goodness, you're about to be a marathon finisher. And that's where it really sunk in, where I was like, oh gosh, I am about to be a marathon finisher. This is really, really cool. And I can't remember exactly how much I had done in my training. I think it's like either 18 or 20 that was my longest run. And so I knew that like everything moving forward is unknown, right? Is the unknown territory. And that's where it really sunk into me. I was like, this is really cool. I am about to be a marathon finisher. So turn the corner at kilometer 35, so about mile 21-ish, and my legs just say no more. So I told you guys about the plan: run an hour, walk 5 minutes, run an hour, walk 5 minutes. And at that point, my legs just said, nope, we're done. And that was really, really tough. Like I started feeling my legs. I'm like, I am not feeling good. And now every kilometer became like a real hard time, right? I had 7 kilometers, about 5 miles left, and I was just like struggling, did not feel good. And every part of that basically was just pure willpower, just try to get one step in front of the other, however slow or fast you can do. I saw a lady around kilometer 40 and she was like, you look in really bad shape. And I'm like, I'm struggling. It's tough. It's hard. But then you get to kilometer 41 and then you're like, I don't know how I'm going to do one more. It's so tough. And then you start seeing the finish line. And that's when I saw, all my friends, my family, and all that, and everyone was there. And I just remember, that now you get your last gas and you're like, I'm just going to try. Honestly, there's a video that my mom took, and in my mind, I was moving so fast. I was like sprinting through that finish line, but in reality, like there's nothing left. At that point, I was in so much pain, and I finished, and that feeling honestly was amazing. Throughout the whole day, I had like this amazing feel. I was smiling the whole time. The people cheering you on, you're kind of giving them fist bumps and giving them high fives. But at that point, when I realized, now like, whoa, I just ran a marathon. It was like all the way back thinking to that first run I went on for 5K, and I could barely run for 5K. And then you look around and you're like, okay, I finished a marathon. This is insane, which, goes back to your lessons. And obviously I could give you all the traditional lessons of like, you're able to do so much more than what your body tells you, and even when you want to quit, you don't, and all of that. And I get it. You've heard that before, and maybe that doesn't work. But I think that one of the greatest lessons is number one. Yes, I do think that it was really cool to see what my body can do in those moments where I think that it has nothing left, and just telling your mind that you can't quit. Because I told that to myself a couple times. I'm like, I don't want to do this training again, right? So you can't quit at this point. And so it is really cool to see when you tell your mind like, no, keep going. You have to go finish, or what. I also told myself, like, what else are you gonna do? Like, there's traffic right there, so no one can come pick you up. The water's on the other side. That you don't own a boat. It's just like, what are you gonna do? Like, you have to get to the finish line if you want to go home today. So I was like, okay, well, this is it. You just got to keep on going. Just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other, right? That's the only way home. Genuinely, if you want to get to your bed, and then you start figuring out, like, okay, my body's gonna take me there, even no matter how much pain I'm in. And when you think about life, right, when sometimes you think whether it's financially, when it's physically, and whether it's emotionally, and you think that you just can't anymore. Um, keep pushing. I would tell you, like, I'm almost getting emotional right now, but keep pushing. I'm telling you, you got it in you. And I'll be your biggest supporter. It's just like, you do have it, you do got it. And the second one, which is by far the biggest lesson that I took from this experience, that I really did not anticipate taking as a lesson, is enjoy the journey, right? As bad as it is, and as tough as some things are in this world, stop looking at a finish line, right? Don't think about 42 kilometers. Think about the journey, and enjoy the fact that you're doing something really special and really wonderful in this world, right? Like, this world as a whole, like, this is not marathons talk. This is truly, like, life is really, really hard. There's some really bad times, there's some tough times, and that's a reality for everyone. You don't have to hide from it, and sometimes it looks like it's so much better for this person or this person, but life is rough, life is tough. And I know we all have something that we're looking forward to. There's something to look to, and maybe that gets hard because that finish line is so far that you feel like there's no way you can make it there. But I would tell you, that's exactly how I felt. I was like, there's no way I can make it to 42 kilometers. And maybe you're thinking about it from a money standpoint, and you're like, there's no way I can make it to being a millionaire, or there's no way I can make it to this dream job that I have, or there's no way I can make it to having a stable relationship with someone. And I would just tell you, enjoy the journey, right? Enjoy wherever you're at. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and enjoy that time, right? The pain that you're in, and acknowledge the fact that you're doing something really wonderful, which is, making it to the next day in this world. And that was really the biggest lesson for me. And I think that completely changed, and that made this whole marathon journey, or this marathon experience, so much more enjoyable, to the point where now I actually really want to run another one, which sounds insane right now because my legs can barely move, but I actually committed to one today. So, yeah, I would really tell you, enjoy the journey, enjoy where you're at. If it feels like there's no way out, I'm telling you, the finish line is going to come at some point, and when it does, it's going to be worth it. It makes the whole, now we're talking in terms of metaphors. It makes the whole 42 kilometers so worth it. Every bad part, right? Because one thing I think I didn't mention was that kilometer 11, my hamstring started pulling really, really bad. I was like, no, like, I felt so good. Like, why is that happening? And it kind of went on and off, and went away, and then it kept coming back, and I was a little bummed out. I was like, no, like, this is such a bummer. There's no way, like, I'm gonna go out like that. But it makes you start thinking about that moment, and then you start thinking about the moment at 25 where things became really hard, and at 35 where I thought there's no way my legs can keep moving forward. And you start thinking about all of that together, and it makes it all so worth it. So I'll end on that. I'll start wrapping up on that, but that's really what I learned. That's what I took away from it. I hope this inspires you to some extent. That's really, why I wanted to share it. This is not kind of a self-fulfilling, but this medal is really cool to have. Not gonna lie, this is something that, like, I'm not a big medal person. When I was a kid, I played a lot of sports, and my medals, I didn't really keep them around. But I think that this one really does mean a lot to me, and it's a beautiful thing that I was able to accomplish. I'm really proud of myself. I'm really happy right now. So really recommended. But I hope you found some value out of this, and that you were able to find this enjoyable. I know this is a little different. I'm sitting on my couch. I wish I wasn't. I just genuinely cannot move more than this. And if you did find some value, we're going to get back to the finance content. I promise you that. But please do go ahead and share it with someone that you love, care about, or that you would love to see continuing pushing through their situations. Hopefully it can inspire someone, and at the same time, the platform will continue to grow. So thank you so much for being there. Obviously, continue subscribing, following us on social media. All those links are in the description as always. Follow Rob on social media because he is truly amazing, and I'm very thankful that he made me do this. And this couldn't be more applicable today, but you guys already know. Make sure that you're taking the steps today to ensure that you're 1% closer to where you want to be than you were yesterday. Have a great one, everyone. Bye-bye.